If your ink's too slow and your nib won't flow, here's one of the places that you can go. Larry is here to see you through with Mr. Announcer and Cubby too. It's Larry's Fountain Pen Reviews.
And I got it. Okay. You can ask questions. Just raise your hand and Richard will answer them, I think, or Mike will scare you away. So one of the two. Welcome, Liz. Liz is incognito right now. Look at Michael with his blue tie.
Yeah. Figured I'd try one out.
Hey, you know what we should do for Valentine's? I'm going to give you a hint. Well, of course, red is for Valentine's, isn't it? But
Yeah.
you can wear red, yeah. If everybody wears, well, whoever chooses to wear a red bow tie.
Red bow tie. Wow.
Yeah, then some secret may happen.
Ooh.
A secret. Maybe a bunch of secrets.
Is that on any particular
Hello,
day?
how you doing, sir? Welcome. Do what?
Is that on any particular day for the tie?
No, just a whole month. So, like, would everybody like to introduce themselves? We have a new, is it Adrian?
Yeah, new attendee.
Yes. Welcome, my friend. Would you like to tell everybody who you at?
Yeah, so my name's Aiden. I've been into vintage pens. I feel like I'm probably the youngest member here. I've been into vintage pens for about a year and 4 months now, a year and 3 months, something like that. I started in September of 2020. And from that point on, I've been collecting, I've been restoring, and I've been selling pens under the name Vintage Pen Co. USA. So
Cool.
I've been doing a lot of work with vintage pens and have built up quite a modest collection and also a lot of information about them as well. So I love, vintage especially Parker Vacumatics. And I've been acquiring many pens recently. So had a lot of fun with that, yeah.
Well, Adrian, if you can get in touch with me, I'd love to have you on as my guest so you can share your journey with us.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I made a video with, I don't know if you all know Chris Rapseek.
Yes.
Chris Rap 52. We made actually 2 videos together where he interviewed me, and we talked about, one video was a Parker Vacuumatic and the other one was Parker 51s.
Well, I don't know if you know the gentleman, but we do have Dr. Stephen Brown coming on with Dr. Joe, and Dr. Stephen Brown is very, very, very well known.
Yes,
gentleman.
Stephen Brown is very well known, yeah.
He knows his stuff. Now,
oh yeah,
you're to the right place because a lot of these folks here deal in vintage pens as well as new pens. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so they can help. They can fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and I do both.
Well, nice to have you here with us, Aiden.
Thank you, Liz.
Where are you located now, Adrian? Where are you located? What state?
Yeah, I am located in California, sunny California. So
LA.
Yeah, I'm right in LA. So right now you can see it's still light out. We've got mid-70s, clear skies today. So that's that's about the only thing we've got going for us here. But we've got pretty good weather for things, and we do a lot of things outdoors even in January. So like I was just playing golf, but I mean that saves very little time for pens since we're not snowed in or anything like that. But yeah, California's been pretty nice this January. We've had good weather.
Well, we always like to have some young blood in the group, kind of perk things up a little bit, fire it up. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn the show over to Mr. Richard, because this is the man that's got some of his collection with us. So Richard, welcome, my friend Tony, welcome, Norm, welcome, Mike, welcome, Liz, welcome, everybody, welcome. Let's get it on, Richard.
Well, good evening, group. I'm just going to show you 10 of my ring tops. We don't see, or at least I don't see, ring tops very often in antique shops. I will see them in pen shows, but I don't know if many people collect ring tops, and I really started collecting them accidentally when I would win some auctions online for a regular vintage pen that I wanted. There would be a ring top or two in the bundle of pens, so I would gladly take that. But I'm just going to show y'all 10 pens and give you a little history on them. This one is a Parker Duofold Lucky Curve, and it's a button filler. And most all of these ring top pens, no matter who makes them, they all seem to have a number 2 nib. I've only got a couple that have a number 4 nib.
Richard,
Yes.
what's the point of the ring top? What was their intention of having the ring top? The ring on the top?
Usually, from my understanding, if a woman owned the pen, they wore a very long necklace. If you look at the Victorian women, the dresses in the teens and 20s, they always wore a long necklace along with some other jewelry. And I believe that ring top pin was attached to their necklace so that wherever they were, they could stop, or if they were just sitting at home, unscrew the top and jot their notes and go about their business. If a man had a ring top, I believe it would be attached to his watch chain, and the pen would rest in his watch pocket or his vest pocket.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
This one is a Wall BCHR gold filled, and this one is from the 30s. This one is, and these are mostly lever fit. The first one was a button filler. This one is a lever filler, and the nibs on all of these pens are 14 karat gold. And this one is also a number 2 nib. I'll show you. I don't know if that's.
Richard, what year did that pen come out?
Pardon?
What year was that pen made in?
This Wall was made in the 30s.
In the 30s. So that's a 14K nib?
Yes.
Okay.
This one is a little bit larger, but it's still a ring top. It's a Conklin crescent filler, model number 20P. And it also has a 14 karat gold Conklin nib.
How long is that? Because normally I would assume ring top. I've got 2 Parkers here, and they're both very short compared to something modern. You know, it's like half the size of a Mont Blanc now. So how long is that Conklin? Because I recognize the normal crescent fillers were pretty long.
this Conklin is about 4¼ inches long.
So it is still pretty short.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is from around 1910.
Nice.
And for a different one, this is a Schaefer Lifetime ring top, but it's a full size pen. I'll put it next to my Mercantile BCHR pen. That's an eye dropper. You can see that it's basically the same size as a full size pen. This one is a lever filler. I don't know why they made a full size pen as a ring top, because you would normally keep a full size pen in your pocket, not in a vest or on a chain of some kind. This next one is a Lucky Curve Parker Lucky Curve Mandarin Yellow, and this one was from 1929. Am I too? Can y'all see these pens?
Yeah.
This one is also a button filler. This other one here that I just got in a stack when I got some other pens. This is a Schaefer ring top. This is sterling silver. It's a lever filler. And it's from, I'm guessing, in the 1930s. Most of my pen collection of my other pens are from the teens to the 40s or 50s, and predominantly in the 20s and 30s.
Can we see the nib on that? Okay.
And it is a number 2 14 karat gold.
So how does it
As
write,
well.
Richard? Is it smooth, wet, in your
Yes,
opinion?
it's very smooth. Some of these have a little bit of flex to them, not a whole lot, but just a little bit.
Would you say the nib had a bit of a bounce to it and not stiff?
Yeah, just enough bounce where you can get a little line variation. The ring tops don't hold as much ink, of course, as a regular size pen does. Just, that's would be obvious. So I tend to not take them out in public with me because I never know for sure how much ink is in them, and I don't want to look like an idiot. And when I'm sitting somewhere and I'm starting to write and there's nothing coming out,
That's happened to me.
And this one is a 3rd tier pen, and I bought it just because of the color. This is a Supremacy pen, and it's a lever filler as well. And this little paper clip on the end, that's how I have them attached in my satchel. There is a space for each pen.
Okay.
And this is also a number 2 gold nib. It took a little while for me to get used to using them because there's not much on the back end for holding, maintaining your balance as there would be with a full-size pen. See, there's not much here to hold on to.
Okay.
There. So you just have to get used to finding a little bit different way of gripping.
So that's more of a thin. Can you open the cap off again?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, all of these.
The grip section's not big, but it's okay.
I mean, all of these can be capped, and that will give you a little bit more length up here to stabilize the pen while you're writing with it.
Okay, Aiden, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question for Richard. So with your ring tops, what's your personal opinion on posting them? Because I've got pretty big hands, and if I don't post it, I won't be able to use it. So how do you feel about that?
I try to post them because it does give me a little bit more stability.
Yeah.
Some of them are short. I have one over here that is a Peter Pan ring.
Those
top.
are tiny.
This thing, and this is it has a jeweler's band, and it's engraved RT on there. And I think the nib on here is like a 0 or a 1, maybe. I mean, it's a very small pen. It holds a very small amount of ink, but it's a neat little toy to play with. This one is another wall Goldfield, and it's in the chevron pattern.
I was considering getting one of those the other day.
And I like this particular pattern. I do have some other ones that I didn't choose that are walls that have a paisley pattern, almost like a gold overlay to them. And this one has a little bit larger nib, but it's still a number 2.
Okay, Norm, I believe.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Question for Richard and possibly Aidan and anybody else with a interest in vintage pens. These are 2 Conway Stewarts, a model 55, which I think is late 30s, and a model 85L, which is mid 50s. Both have got slightly loose cap rings. Now I'm told that they're not loose enough to come off. I'm told that the only way to fix them is to have them swaged, which is crimped, and amateurs like me don't do that sort of thing. I'm just wondering if anybody's got any information or anything that might help me in terms of fixing these cap rings. They're not loose enough to get epoxy cement behind them. They're not loose enough to fall off. They're just pivoting around. The original celluloid or plastic or whatever it is has shrunk. So if anybody can help me, I'd really appreciate it.
Adrian, go for it.
Yeah, I would say the number 1 thing is if it's loose but not loose enough to get never use any cement, by the way. The only thing you want to use on a vintage pen to glue or as any adhesive on any part of a vintage pen is pen shellac. I think that's about the safest option you can get because it's heat activated. There's more pros and cons with using shellac, but even then, don't really try unless it's super loose enough to fall off and then put back on. At this point, if you don't want to swage it, don't touch it, because it's more of a sort of, the more you fiddle with it, the more loose it'll get, or the more annoyed you'll be with it if you leave it alone. As long as you're holding it, usually if you don't keep doing that and you're just moving the pen around, it won't tend to move. So it's not a big deal if you're not actively paying attention to it. But if you really do want to try swaging, this book, Pen Repair by Marshall and Oldfield, this is a pen textbook. It's exactly what you want and what you need to sort of begin any sort of pen restoration process. And this book, I believe, does have some instructions on how to swage cap bands and in similar processes. So I would say the best course of action, if you can't get shellac behind it and wipe it off right away, that's the main thing. If you have shellac, you want to wipe it off within 5 seconds, or else it'll leave a nasty sort of yellow mark on your plastic and your metal. If you don't wipe it right away and you don't have that space between there, just at this point, leave it alone and don't try to actively worry about it, or else it's just going to keep, if getting worse is not the issue, it's just going to bother you, really. So I would leave it alone, to be honest. And Conway Stewart's are some of the best. Their cap bands are quite, there's quite multiples of them. Sometimes they're ornate and the plastic isn't the most reliable. So I would say for the most least aggressive course of action right now is to leave it alone and to just don't mind it. If it doesn't bother you, or if you don't bother it, it won't bother you.
Thanks for your help. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I just have 2 more pens here. One is a no-name lever filler, and it's I call it brown onyx color.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I just like the color of it, so I got it, and it has a nice 14 karat nib. It's a little bit, a hair longer than some of these others, and a hair shorter than the Parker Lucky Curve pens. And this other one, and all of these pens, by the way, are in my rotation. I don't believe in collecting a pen and not using it. This one is a Wall gold seal. You see the gold seal. It's in Brazilian green, and this is from the 1930s. It has a fancy ring around the cap.
Good looking pen. I like the color.
And it also has a 14 karat nib. But I use all of my fountain pens. That's what they were made for, and that's what I used to write all my letters with. They are my everyday carries. I never leave the house without at least one full fountain pen.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, Richard. On behalf of those people that do use fountain pens, I'm one of them. I've never ever been opposed to vintage pens. I really just don't. I've got 1 or 2 maybe. Out of the 200 pens, I've got 1 or 2 that's vintage. My biggest issue, obviously, is nothing to do with the fact that vintage pens are really they're still around because after all these years, because they were made well. They were made well. They were manufactured to last a long time, and there's a reason they're still around. They're good quality, and there's no question about how they write. So there's nothing negative to say about a vintage pen. My biggest issue, the reason why I've been more of a modern collector, is because a couple reasons. This right here, like Aiden says, I got these big hands. I have yet to find a vintage pen that is big enough for these hands. I'll tell you, there's a couple that I like. The Schaefer Balance. It seems to be a nice long pen. And the dual fold senior, maybe, or the vacuum. Forgive me if I'm messing this up. The Vacuumatic Senior, is that right? Grande, whatever they call it, Maximus or something like
Maximus,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Or oversized.
Right. So those are of interest to me. And but the other thing is that I've fallen into the trap of many fountain pen users. Maybe not like Norm, because I know you've got that what ink you use, but many fountain pen users, and not like Joe, because Joe is going to be one ink man. But many, I've fallen into the trap of I've stopped buying ink, but I've got multiple inks, so I switch them out. So piston fillers, lever fillers, button fillers, all of those are a little bit more difficult to clean. If you're going to swap out ink, if you keep the same ink, I think it's wonderful, but you can just leave the same ink in it. But that's really the only reason. I love vintage pens. I love seeing them. I enjoyed that all those ring tops. I was about to buy one. I was going to ask somebody's opinion about one that I just saw on eBay, and I didn't buy it yet. It's a Schaefer Statesman 2. Are you familiar with that pen?
Yes, I am. So the Schaefer Statesman range is, I guess it's like a sort of version of the Balance, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a Balance. It sure does. I can't tell about the size. I've been duped before.
It's small. It's not big.
Okay.
Yeah. So the balances that you want to get are full size, Schaefer Balance full size. That's the name. To oversize.
Okay.
So here is a Schaefer Balance full size compared to a Mont Blanc JFK. It's big.
Yeah, it is.
It's no small pen.
Right.
And this one I restored yesterday. The only flaw is, I don't know if y'all can see, there's like a little chip out of the top there. And that's the only flaw to this pen. But other than that, the marine green color, which was known to be fragile, it's got all the coloring and bands left to it. And you can see a Schaefer nib for a vintage pen is pretty darn big, even compared with a modern Mont Blanc 146 formatted pen. So it's a big pen, and I've got big hands, and even then the tail of the Schaefer fits very well. Another pen you might want to consider with tapered tails. Tapered tails seem to fit better with us large-handed people for some reason. Another one is the Wall Eversharp Skyline Executive size. The Executive was pretty darn big too.
Let me write that down.
Yeah. So to put that into perspective, here is a normal Wall Eversharp, and it's already pretty long. You can see it's very nice looking and very long. And compared to the Mont Blanc is shorter, but just by a hair, but it's still pretty big, and the tapering really helps fit into our hands better. And they've all got good plastic threads, which is the difference. And this is the one qualm I have about this JFK is there's a big step up from section to barrel, huh?
Can I say something, Aiden?
Yeah, go ahead.
Larry knows about this. I bought that. I got one of those off of Amazon for ridiculous low price. Nice. And I was so excited to get it. I got it within 2 days. I realized I'd made the biggest mistake because I could not handle that step up. Of all I've got 9 or 10 writers editions and special editions of Mont Blanc. and none of them have that issue with me. But that one I never tried out before, and I had to sell
It's
it.
a strange one.
I
It's a
sold it
strange
within
one.
2 days. Yeah,
And the thing about
I
this
love
pen
it
is
though.
the combination of the step up and not being able to post it is the issue.
Right.
Because if you posted it, you could hold it on the barrel. But since there's a step up, you have to hold it on the place where you step up. And I know Larry did a review.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because that was exactly my problem.
That's how you felt about
everything. I tried everything. Rubber bands at the end, everything I could do.
No.
I really did.
You can't. You
It's a
can't post
beautiful
it.
pen. It's a beautiful pen.
It's gorgeous, and I got it because of one, Larry's review, and also because of its burgundy color and gold. I've got quite a collection of burgundy and gold pens. I've got a Parker 51 in Cordovan brown, which is their burgundy color. I've got a PFM in burgundy and gold. So I really like that colorway. And I was at a jewelry store, which is the one nearby our home, and our family, the whole family was there because we're friends with the jewelers, and they were buying, all sorts of, APs and Rolexes, and they were doing their thing. And they had this pen cabinet there that had all the nicest Mont Blancs, and the one that caught my eye was this one. So I think there's definitely value in modern pens, and don't get me wrong, their creation is only influenced by vintage as well.
Right.
So there's got to be sort of a step up. But I prefer the vintage pens just myself. Go ahead, Larry.
If we can take a moment, please. Doc, can you bring up and show them that picture of that beautiful, gorgeous, not to die for pen with the owl on it?
Oh, yeah, an ebonite pen. Right. This is
that is still in my head. That is one bad jam right there. End of story. The pen will speak for itself. If you're a pen enthusiast, you got to check it out.
Let's see this thing. I haven't heard of it.
In fact,
have you heard
from a seller on I guess they're on eBay, and or I believe they're more Instagram. There's a lot of Instagram stuff, but his name is Mr. Cypress. Well, I say his name,
yes.
the company, Mr. Cypress.
Yes, I know Mr. Cypress because Mr. Cypress is retailed 6 minutes away from my home in Taiwan. 6 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
Walking distance.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
So listen, by the way, I've been in contact with them a little bit more. Mr. Cypress, I guess there is a man, like owner of the place, but the person we deal with, Tony, is a woman named Celine.
Celine, I saw that, yeah.
Cypress is a company, and as I suspected, they employ several artisans. So I was very, very pleased with this. And I also told Tony, I think the other night when I spoke about this, I'll let the screen go, but they really are great. They stand behind their product. I had an issue with the way one of my pens was threading on, and I personally thought I cross-threaded it somehow, but they wouldn't let me pay for the shipping. They insisted on paying for it themselves, and really a class act the way they ship the pen, and I can't say enough good things about them. So matter of fact, I just ordered another pen, which I won't go into now, but one of their lower priced pens, just to see. I mean, it's the price point is pretty incredible for a lot of these things.
Hey, Joe, does that cap line up? Has it got one thread point, or I guess on that owl pen? I noticed the branch.
2 thread points, but they both pretty much line up. Mine lines up. One lines up a little bit better, twists a little bit firmer. But yeah, it's I was very impressed with it, and so very happy. I used it. I think some of you may have seen. I posted a video of myself using the pen, and yeah, very, very pleased. I'll later on, if we got some time, I'll show you the one. Tony had seen the one I just ordered.
Yeah,
but the pen is like $120.
But and if you have to call them and visit with them, Joe, they speak English in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, they do.
I was thinking about at some point if they want to do it, they're always welcome. Maybe have somebody represents them come on here and talk about it. But I'm just like you, Tony. I was floored with the amount of variety they have. But listen, I don't want to take up any more vintage time, so please.
I can't believe I actually introduced something to you guys, because I just happen to see those every time I'd see them, and I would visit with our friend Dave over in England, Dave Burrows, and I would say I would tell them, I said, oh, check out these beautiful creations. I mean, and for the prices, I thought they can't be right. And we
Here's the
kept
thing,
looking at them, and
you introduced it to me, Tony. I've already purchased 3 of them. How
I
many
know.
do you own, bud?
I have yet to. I have yet to purchase one yet.
Here we go.
Anyway, I'll shut up.
No, you're not. You're fine, Doc. Don't ever think that. You're fine.
Hey, Richard, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry, I'm at work. Could you show me what a button filler looks like? I know what a lever filler looks like, but what's a button filler look like?
Right there. Oh, Aiden's got one.
Okay, it's you just unscrew the back, and there's a little.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you just push it in.
Mm-hmm.
It engages a lever, and the lever compresses against the sack.
Oh, gotcha.
It too uses a pressure filling system with a sack. Yeah, so it's the same way. The reason why they came up with a button filler, it was Parker's invention due to the fact that pen manufacturing was cutthroat at the time. It was very cutthroat. They were patenting each other, you know, to death. And Schaefer was was first on the game with the lever filler. They made the lever filler super convenient with this sort of bar. And they put the patent right on it the moment they got it, which led Waterman's to creating a box lever, which just has sort of a box outside of the lever piece that allows the lever to lock in. And that was Waterman's way of countering that. But Parker, you can see in almost all of their pens, never touched the lever filling system. They had buttons, vacuumatics, aerometrics, never touched the lever because of the fact that Schaefer held the patent and they wanted to be competitive. So what they did was they created the same thing with the sacks, and sacks were readily available. Same thing with the pressure bars, since those were readily available. And they just created the button filling system with a button. And they use that from the early button fillers all the way to the very late button fillers. Here, this is a pen to die for. This is the Parker Herringbone Royal Challenger. And even this one uses the button filler. And that in the end morphed into another sort of button filling system, which we know as the vacuumatic.
Interesting. That's
Thank
great.
you.
It's great to hear that, Aiden. I appreciate you the history and Richard and you sharing all this. This is fascinating.
Yeah, we're preserving the history by using it, and that's my favorite part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's people like ourselves that keep the vintage pens going. And when we get the younger folks in, like Abe in here, he continues to help nurture that and keep it going. Because, we're not here forever. So somebody has to fill in those shoes. And it's people like him that's going to continue that journey. And hopefully he will affect somebody else that will pick up the baton and go with it.
Yeah. And I hope that's the case. The youngest person I know doing vintage pens at the moment is about 9, 10 years old or something like that. Right. And he's got a massive collection of Parkers.
I want to meet him.
So yeah, he lives in New York. He's part of the Big Apple Pen Club, like I am.
I'll take him away.
Even though I don't live in the.
Put him with the big Larry now.
Yeah. So that we used to talk about pens, and my mentors are a few people. I don't know if you know Rick Propus.
Yep.
And then Tim Ettenheim, Tim's Vintage Pens, and then there's Mike Daigle, who runs Mad Mercantile, and there's also a few other people, Joel Hamilton, that also helps. And they all share this information with me for the same reason. They all said it. They were like, "Oh, we're not going to last forever, so someone's going to have to have to pick up the torch, pick up the standard into the next 100 years or the next 50 years. So at least these pens, once they go bad, because they just go bad, the sacks go bad, the diaphragms go bad, there's a continuation to that. And that's what I love about it. I mentioned this in Chris's video too.
Tony?
I was going to say, when the one person I did know of that group was Joel, because Joel's sister, Cheryl. Yeah, she lives about 15, 20 minutes from me. So we live in the same town. I'm at her house all the time. Oh, that's
wonderful.
Yeah, when I'm at her house, she'll always bring up something to try to entice me.
Yeah. And I just sent a pen to Cheryl to restore, actually, just a few days ago. Wow. I sent her a what do you call that? A wall Eversharp Doric for her to restore.
Oh, Doric, yeah.
Yeah, she's a master at Dorics, and I called Joel, and he told me send it straight to Cheryl. I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole because those are a pain to restore. And Joel has helped me so much with restoration, and we've had a lot of great conversations together.
Wow.
Isn't it a Doric here, the fourth one from the left?
Yes, that is a Doric. That is a full-size lever Doric. But the issue with that with Dorics is they made them in two configurations. One was the lever and one was the vacuum filler. So like the Schaefer one where you have the plunger.
That's a lever, yeah. This represents a very, very small portion of my original pen collection. I was never really into vintage pens, but what I did have is pretty much represented in this picture. I'm not even sure. I did this Waterman's in there, but I'm not even sure.
Well, I can't see what you're doing. So
you don't see the arrow?
Well, I tell you, there's been a few Watermans that I've been interested in, like what are they, the 52.5 or V, or I'm confused about it, obviously, because I don't know a lot about them.
Those are smaller. So I thought you might like bigger pens.
I do want, yeah.
If you want a bigger Waterman's, you want to go the higher the second digit as possible, because that gives you a bigger nib. So you don't want to go with the 52.5s or 50 or any halves or any V's, because the halves mean it's slender. The V means it's for vest pocket. So it's like Richard was talking about, it's smaller and shorter. So you want to go for the 54s, 55s, 56, 50, 57s, whole numbers or sevens. Those are whole numbers. They're long and they're pretty big. So you want those. You don't want to go for the halves or the V's, even though they might be enticing.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I had no idea.
Yeah, a 52.5 V is like this big.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that
pretty
is
small.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, would you mind pulling that screen back up with the pins you had on there? Got some questions for you.
Oh, sure. He mentioned the
Doric.
Hold on, sorry. It's the only image I have of that collection. The only thing.
Mr. Announcer was wondering, do you see my little arrow there, right there, the pointer? The black and white one?
Which pen you looking at?
The one with the ring top?
the one just to the right of the orangish one.
Oh, the Omas? Oh, you're talking about the left side of the screen. Which side of the screen?
Right side.
Right side.
Oh, okay. So that to the arm. That's the first issue of the Omas Ferrari. That was a special pen that was made for Ferrari, and they sold some of them. But that's an Omas. That's an Omas next to it as well.
All right, and we're talking about the black and white.
Yeah, that's it. That's the Omas. I forget the name of that material, but Manu from AFC.
That's a wild celluloid, isn't it?
Exactly. It's celluloid. Yeah, and that was one of the original, not original, one of the first issue of the M900. You're seeing on the extreme right-hand side of the screen.
Right. Well, I'm covered up with
the sterling silver Le Mans 100 is was one of my favorite. I sold every one of these, and I believe the one next to the Doric on the right, those are Waterman, and I want to say the other one is probably a Waterman too. I think they were all Watermans. Those four of them. The one was a safety.
They're
pen.
Both Watermans.
Yeah, right. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, and Tony, that's the full 52. So you can see compared to a Mont Blanc 146, which is the third pen from the left.
Yep.
It's a good size. You want a 52.
A 52.
And I have a
okay.
52 here. Yeah. And I have a 52 here. Let me see if I can
And
get
which
it.
one are you?
'cause my
Which
pen
one? Which
cabinet-
pens are you talking about? The silver one or the gold or both?
They're both 52s. One is a 552. One is a 452. The difference is the 5 means gold. The 4 means silver. And this is a 452 in the Gothic pattern. I don't know if you can
that's
see
beautiful.
that sort of checker. Yeah, it's
That's
beautiful. I bought this
beautiful.
from Tim Ettenheim. Yeah,
Do we
this is a
know-
gorgeous pen.
Do we know if that design was pressed into the pen or was it a guilloche where they did it?
I think it was engraved.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
But
gorgeous.
this is sterling silver, 0452, and this is the size compared to the Mont Blanc. So it's big.
Wow, it's a good
And
size pen.
You want a 52 if you want a pen like this, and it's got a very nice nib. And let me just press it on some paper right here because I can show you the crazy flexibility that you can get out of this.
A Waterman 52, right?
Yeah. And I just did that quick doodle right there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Tony, 52s
Really
are
nice.
long but pretty thin. If you want thicker pens, 55 or 58.
Yeah.
58
Go the higher the digit you want. Yeah.
All right. And Aiden, I'm one of those people that never ever flexes my fountain pens, even if they're kind of designed for that. Joe knows. Joe will tell you. Dr. Vitolo there will say, he knows the only thing I'll ever flex is my dip pen. I do a lot of dip pen writing, and so but with my fountain pens I rarely flex them.
Yeah, I don't really flex my pens either. I think the only time when I flex is if I'm doing the first letter of the alphabet. Right. So if I was to write the sentence, the quick brown fox, then I'll flex the T.
The T, yeah.
And but that's about it. I like the subtle bounce and responsiveness of the pen rather than the sort of massive Spencerian style flex because I write in cursive already, so you don't really need that. I think you can see a sampling of how I flex the T there, but I don't flex
that makes
anything
sense.
else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Tony,
it just adds a little more character.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
I don't know how far back these go in history, but if you want to get a nice size pen for your hand, definitely choose this one. That's like writing with a bat. I had several of these. Yeah,
if it weren't for the price tag, I'd already own
that.
One.
Yeah, I'd take 2 of them.
I had 3 of them. I had 3 of them at one time.
They're listed for around $2,000. I saw one for about 1,200 or 1,300, and I didn't get it.
That was my
Namiki is the crown jewel of Japan.
Yeah.
The nib is just so over the top. I mean, it's just
it's a number. It's a number 30 nib, isn't it?
It's a 50. It's a 50.
A 50. That's right.
50 nib.
Yep.
Well, in Japanese, it's 50,
right.
30, 15.
Right. But still,
it's like a number 9. It's like a number 9.
Yeah, there you go.
And
what did you say, Dr. Vitolo? It's like a number 9.
Yeah, probably. I'm not real good with, I mean, I've got comparison images somewhere. I got so many images here, but no, it's great. I think, and a lot of this information you're talking about, by the way, Aiden, is this stuff been documented in some type of publication?
Of course. So I will show you some of the main publication. So I've got 4 books right next to me. They're all very heavy and they're all hardbacks. And vintage pen books are accessible at a steal of a price. They are at wonderful prices. A main book, very dense on the inside. You can see how dense it is with just 1 page of information there.
Oh yeah.
This book is by Andreas Lambro, Andy Lambro. He's always at the pen shows. And and this is his book on vintage pens. About and I think it was even given to auction houses for them to learn about the history. So this is a great one. It covers Germans, English, American, everything. A good one for images of black and white images. You can see this is just a page of the early pens. You can see ring tops and their size comparisons, everything. This is the 1992 Fountain Pen Fanciers Club PFC pen guide. So that's a great one, and it does list what it is, what it's made out of. Down here, you can see there's even prices present.
Wow.
Yeah, I have several.
Yeah.
Because of penmanship, I've gone through, I mean, literally probably hundreds of old penmanship magazines from like the late 1800s forward, and it's really, I post those images.
Yeah, Spencerian ones. And this is a good one. This is it's not a great book, but you know, it's got wonderful images. So this is a great coffee table book if you want to show someone a nice book. This one's good. This is by Jonathan Steinberg, who's also a member of the Big Apple. Jonathan's great. His book is wonderful. It's very thin. It's not very dense. And then there's this one. This is the one you want if you want to learn about vintage pens
and pencils.
Look how big that book is. Yeah, it's got pencils as well.
Where do you live? Where do you live approximately? Where are you out of?
I live in Los Angeles.
Okay, I thought you was going to say Georgia, Tony. And everybody says Georgia. I'm in Georgia.
Everybody, yeah. Well, we're from. Are you originally from New York, Aiden?
No, I'm from LA.
Oh, okay. And
yeah, the Big Apple Pen Club is just because they were doing Zoom meetings, so we connected over Zoom, and it's me and Rick Propus from LA West Coast that connected with them. Yeah, and the people that mentored me were from the East as well. So
can you guys see that?
Oh, those are all beautiful names.
Yeah, those are all to scale. Look at the size of the Miki Emperor.
Wow.
I mean, it's so over the top. It's just.
Is it hard to manage to write with that though, Joe? Or
No. I mean, look, there is a point. I mean, someone like Stephen Brown, he loves these girthy pens. You know, I'm a guy who can actually. I'm going to take this off. I'm a guy who can. And if you want any of these images, let me know. They're free to use. But I'm a guy who can actually write with real tiny pens. I like the Nikaya Piccolo. My main pen, as I said many times, is a little Sailor Pro Gear. That's the pen I use, the regular size one.
Right.
And I use that pen. Yes. It's just, guys, there's something about looking at an Emperor nib. I can't explain it to you. Even if you never use the pen, you can just sit there for hours staring in worship at the size of that nib. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's got quite an ink capacity on that thing as well.
It sure does. Yeah. Somebody say something?
Is that so? I just wanted to ask about the Emperor. Is it a converter? Or?
No. That is an eyedropper. It comes with a beautiful eyedropper, glass eyedropper with it, and it's got one of those mechanisms where when the bottom is fully closed, the back is fully closed, no ink flows. So it's like a safety
shut off valve. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And in order to write, you got to crack it open.
Mm-hmm. And Joe, I think you may be interested in this page of the book. This covers the Dorics, one of which you have. You can see how nice the pictures are in there. That red one there is the one you had.
Yeah.
And then it gives the year 1931 to 34 oversized Doric. And then you can see that one. And this book just covers all these sort of variations that it has. So the information that I get about vintage pens all comes from these books. There's of course videos and internet and that stuff, but the books, which were all written in the golden age of pen literature, which I would say is around the 80s and 70s, all the way to the 90s, that period of time, a lot of literature about pens were written because that was when collecting was at its high point. And we can see, the vast amounts of books written in this one. Like I bought for like $30.
Wow.
It's massive, $30. And they're all pretty inexpensive. You can find them pretty easily. And they've got a treasure trove of information. So like if I wanted to see, how much is this Schaefer worth? I can either go online or I can look in the book and learn all about it.
Aiden, it's interesting because you remind me of a version of myself when I was younger. Not in pen, not in fountain pens. I love them, collect them, but I'm a historian for penmanship and calligraphy, and so listening to you speak, it does my heart good. It's good to know people.
Yeah,
know
Yeah, thank you. And I didn't start with fountain pens. I started with writing cursive and calligraphy. I started writing cursive in the 2nd grade. So I started quite early. And at that point, it was, Zahner Bloser, very simple sort of cursive. Danielian method was how I was taught to write, in kindergarten, way, way long ago. And afterwards, I discovered maybe in the 4th grade or something around there, Spencerian handwriting of Platt Rogers Spencer. And after that, I decided to sort of morph my own handwriting into Spencerian. I loved the fact that everything was uniform at 54 degrees or 56 degrees. And writing like that has always been something that I've done. And I used to do it with pencil. I still do it with pencil. And in fact, it's just something that the handwriting came first, then the pens. The pens are just an instrument for me to execute that handwriting in as pleasurable and as, beautiful and elegant of a way as possible. And for example, right now, I'm transcribing the book of Genesis in the Bible.
Wow.
And you can see that my handwriting is a sort of version of Spencerian.
Yes.
And it's so it's done in that font or that writing. And I know and I was taught this by an old tutor of mine, cursive, and I still have this card that she wrote a long while ago.
Much more of the Palmer type method than Zahner Bloser.
Yeah, this is a Palmer type method, and which was what they were taught at the time. And I learned the Palmer method from her and converted that into a more Spencerian style that you can see me writing now.
Tony's trying to get her words in edgewise, but I do have original.
Oh, go ahead.
I have original specimens from Platt Rogers Spencer in my collection. I have an incredible collection of old.
That's wonderful. And I've watched your video on Apple Boom about that.
Oh yeah, watch my other videos. I got videos on copper plate style script and fountain pens. Anyway, Tony, you keep trying to talk about something.
No, I just want to. I really wanted to say what you already just said about how Aiden is really keeping the history of these vintage pens alive through his use and through his enthusiasm and excitement, as you do with the history of handwriting and the history of the golden age of penmanship. And I appreciate both of those things because it all comes together, doesn't it? Like you said,
you guys use your pens. He's using his pens. And as I've said many times on this show, on this Zoom Hangout, if we don't foster handwriting at some level, why do we need pens? Who cares about modern vintage pens if people aren't going to be taught how to write anymore? It's the essence of why fountain pens exist. Why pencils exist. Why it's
writing implements.
I feel very strongly about that too.
Yeah, I think all of us here. I know most of everyone here uses their writing implements a lot. I mean, just to write, whether it's for daily writing. I journal and I write lots of letters, and and that's the reason they ask me, why do you write so many letters? Because I mean, I want to interact with people, but it gives me a chance to use my pens. It gives me a chance to all my pens get used, all of them.
And the thing about fountain pens is they're so versatile. They're a controlled leak, right? So what can you do with a controlled leak? You can do everything you want, as long as you're putting a mark down on paper. So I think something important about fountain pens is, first of all, the writing component, but also you can draw with them. And I have clients that I write to because I do my vintage restoration service. And every time I pack an order, I slip on my letterhead, which is this letterhead, a sort of statement size sheet. I write a letter to them, thanking them, describing the pen, and doing that. So I think that builds a more personal relation with a client. And I also draw with the vintage pens. Here's a drawing I did last night, just a sketch of Ronald Reagan. Yeah, it was a quick sketch. It's not, totally accurate, but you can, and this was just done with a Schaefer balance, this exact Schaefer balance, no flex, no nothing. You can just do that. The only exception is this, which is done on with a paintbrush. And the ink that I used, if I'm not taking up too much time here, is
I've got some of that. Yeah.
Schaefer script from the period when actually Ronald Reagan was an actor, and I paired these two together and did that. And I use my pens for everything. And the Schaefer script, I love it because it's the original thing. You can't put anything other than that in a vintage pen and not call it period, right? It's exactly what was used at the time.
I love the
And
bottle on that
bottles.
thing too.
Yeah.
The bottle is
I collect bottles.
Yeah, the Schaefer script has that fun. It has the thing where it's got the well in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, inside the cap, you turn it upside down and it fills the well up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Aiden, you mentioned
see that little glass thing. Yeah.
You mentioned Letterhead. I want to show some of you guys may have seen this before. There's a guy online. I don't see him much anymore. Victor Padilla. He made this up, and I sort of adapted it with his permission. But check out this Letterhead.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is pretty.
Yeah, and so what Hector did, if you look at the right side of the image, you can see he's got 149s in the claws of the eagle and an ink bottle there. And so he
instead of the shield.
Yeah, the ink Illuminati. I loved it. I've actually used this.
He did the hook ring, Doc?
Well, yeah, he adapted, I guess, from a dollar, but you got to be careful. You just can't scan dollar bills. I guess it can get you into some trouble, but there's probably ways.
What I'm talking about, did he do the pen drawing and stuff in the picture?
Yeah, I think he somehow, today they could do anything. They can, I mean, if you also, I didn't notice this at first when I first seen it, but do you notice the 149 nib at top of the eagle's head?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was really
and the body is J.R. Bonning.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that. And my letterhead is so simple. It's nothing impressive. I have like a little Schaefer balance. I think this was an old image of a patent Schaefer balance, and I just put that in with my name, and then at the bottom contact information. But I would really like something like that. I think that's wonderful.
Hey,
Richard, you have something similar to that you've sent me, that letterhead.
Yes, I do. He did one for me as well, and so it has my information inside that ink Illuminati, and it's just
Hector did one for you too, Richard.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Aiden, do you have an Instagram?
Okay, it's already.
Yes, I do have an Instagram. My Instagram is @vintagepenco_USA, and I'll put it in the chat @vintagepenco_USA. And I think some of you guys are friends with me on Facebook as well. And also we have a sort of on my Instagram. Yeah, you're already following me probably. And on my Facebook, or on my Instagram, I mean, I post pictures like this of the pens that I have to offer, as well as sometimes, pictures of my personal pens with quotes, and also, just other pictures of pens and of handwriting and things like that. So it's a lot of I'm pretty active on it. So it's just a lot of, I guess, pictures of what I enjoy in the hobby, and on Facebook as well. So under the same handle, and I put it in the chat.
I'm just not putting two and two together, but we've already chatted on Instagram. You were talking to me about that shadow.
Yes. Oh yes, that shadow wave I still have.
Yeah.
And that is really neat, because the thing about that shadow wave, and I did say, the price is reduced right now.
Yeah.
But the thing about this shadow wave is it's made in about just the first quarter of production. You can see the imprint there is still quite nice, and you can already see the transparency even without a light on it. It was made in 1937.
Wow.
And in 1937, that was the first year they did shadow waves, but also the last year they did the unique lockdown filling mechanism, which was Parker's first iteration of the Vacuumatic. So these sort of timelines that cross provides a very small window, and especially in the black color provides a very rare specimen of pen, and it's just a very, very nice, good sized vintage pen, especially posted. So I just enjoy sharing these pens with everybody, and the Shadow Wave is certainly one of the things that I'm enthusiastic about because I'm a Parker collector and I love all of their pens. So I just I love their moderns to a lesser degree, their vintage to a great degree, and I think they made Parker epitomize quality for me because there's not one pen that they made that is right now reputable for quality failure. While Eversharp is known for quality failure, but Parker is not. Go ahead, Larry.
All right, we're fixing to close it down now, but before I go, I do get into some vintage, but not all vintage pens, only certain ones, and Parker is most definitely on top of the list for me. Estabrook, and then I have a few more. I know some other reviewers that really go into them in depth, but that's not my thing. Doesn't turn me on, doesn't do much for me. Only certain ones do the trick. You know what I'm saying? So, and before I go,
I love all of those.
Before I go, I will be doing a mail call here tonight or probably tomorrow. I can't do it tonight. Mike Riggs sent me a pen to review, and this man makes some knockout pens. So,
wow.
Can't wait to watch that one. So, folks, we're going to cut it off short. I got to go get into the ice. So, that's a lot of fun. I know you can take it, Joe. You'll be in there soon, Joe. Doc will be in there soon with a bottle of wine.
There you go. Yeah. Chilled white wine. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Hey, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to email me, my man, and everybody. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, wonderful. And how often do you do this?
Every week.
There's a link.
Every week? I will probably show up next week, and I'll definitely, if we want to talk about it next week, we'll definitely talk more about vintage pens. And I have a vintage pen coming soon. If all of you guys are following my Instagram, that will be, it's literally, I'll give you a hint, it's literally the crown jewel. The word is very similar to crown. It's very good.
After you want to tell them how to find out what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm putting that link in the chat for you. It'll have the schedule on it.
Aiden, the next time we meet, the next scheduled show is supposed to have Salvatore Matrone from Leonardo on talking about Leonardo.
Right.
So they generally have themes and stuff like that.
But we will meet every Tuesday at the same time, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern.
Oh wow, there's some that are back to back, like the one with Hines and Stephen Brown. They're pretty close together, huh?
Yeah. Whenever I can schedule in, it's when I have the availability and the time to put them in there.
We'll talk more. Then we'll talk more because we can fit me in somewhere between there.
Email me. And Tony, good to see you. I thought something happened to you. I thought
I've just been busy. I've been playing, been working.
No, I thought you were on stage and you kicked it off.
Larry, I sent you contact information for Jonathan Brooks.
I'll get on it. I'll get on that. Yeah, because I've been trying. Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Having dinner with him on Friday night.
All right. Thank you, folks. And I can't wait till we do the pencil thing too. Yep. I'm ready for that. I've been ready for it. So. All right, folks. Hey, thanks everybody. God bless each and every one. But before we go, Mike Green.
Take care, everybody. Thank you,
guys.
Hold on.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Say the prayer, Mike, and we'll leave. Mike's gonna say the prayer. You're on mute.
Yep, I'm getting off mute. Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together and giving us this time to share this fellowship and enjoy each other's company. Amen.
Amen.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Great, man. Hey, you guys rock it.